So the Edmonton Oilers will face off against the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals, and there's some good storylines to this. Will Connor McDavid win his first Stanley Cup, and will the Florida Panthers win the first Stanley Cup in their franchise's history? Both of these teams have had different journeys throughout the season. The Oilers struggled immensely to start out, but after a coaching change, they rounded into form and really took off. They completely transformed the way they have played. And as for the Florida Panthers, they have been steady and consistent, picking up exactly where they left off on their deep playoff run of last year, and have just been downright impressive. So which of these teams will come out victorious in the Stanley Cup Finals? Well, let's look into the Edmonton Oilers. Led by Connor McDavid in 18 games played, 5 goals, 26 assists for 31 points. He has been a playmaking machine, and someone that has benefited from his great playmaking has been Zach Hyman. 14 goals, 4 assists for 18 points. He has the possibility, if he scores 19, to tie the all-time record for goals in NHL postseason, and if he scores 6, he could get his name in the record books. And it's not just McDavid and Hyman. Nugent Hopkins has 20 points during this playoff run. And Leon Draisaitl has been tremendous in his own right with 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points. You're seeing the stars of the Oilers produce up front. And defensively, Evan Bouchard has been on a tear. 6 goals, 21 assists for 27 points. Him and Ekholm have been really good. And a decor that I have criticized in the past has played pretty well. Kulak, Broberg, and Ceci have been respectable. Darnell Nurse has been logging minutes, and he really impressed me in the later half of that Dallas series. He was blocking shots, being smart defensively, and that's exactly what you need from your veteran defenseman. Now, Desjardins, you could see him in the lineup as well. Broberg only has 3 games played, but he's looked decent enough in his games. He's an extremely good puck mover. The Oilers have been far better overall in their team defense. You have the forwards taking up assignments, back checking, helping out the defense. It's one of the reasons why the Edmonton Oilers have had a fantastic turnaround. And in goal, you have Stuart Skinner. 16 games played, 2.50 goals against average, an .897 save percentage, an 11-5 record. While those numbers are not going to pop off the page, he was tremendous in Game 6. I think overall he's gotten better as the playoffs have progressed. After he got benched for Calvin Pickard, when he came back into the lineup, he looked like a far better goaltender. Well, that's the Edmonton Oilers. Let's talk about their opponent, the Florida Panthers. Leading point scorer for them would be Matthew Tkachuk. 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points. But in comparison, you're seeing a little bit more depth scoring from the Panthers. Barkov and Verhaeghe with 17 points. Reinhart with 12. Bennett with 10. Anton Lundell with 12. And Evan Rodriguez with 8. The great thing about the Florida Panthers is they do have star-level players up front, but lines 1 through 4 can contribute. Stenlin, Lorentz, Opozo, or whether it's Lomberg or Cousins included into that lineup, their fourth line can compete against some top lines. Player of note that I'm expecting to kind of pick it up would be Tarasenko. He has not had a great postseason, but there's nowhere to go but up for him. Now on defense, leading point scorer, not as much as Evan Bouchard from the Oilers, is Gustav Forsling. 17 games played, 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points. But the great thing about Forsling is his offense isn't going to wow you, but defensively, he's one of the best defensemen in the league. He's very good with his defensive positioning and can take the body if needed, but also use his stick checking to cancel out most offensive rushes. Ekblad has been okay enough. Mikola has been a very steady physical D-man. Brandon Montour has 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. And the third pairing of OEL and Kulikov have been pretty steady. But let's talk about the goaltender, Sergei Bobrovsky. 2.20 goals against average, a .908 save percentage, a 12-5 record. Bob has had some insane saves during this playoff run, but I will say you've seen a little bit of inconsistent play. He's not been as dominant as he was last postseason, but he's still pretty damn good. And with how well the Florida Panthers play defensively, if Bobrovsky gets hot, which he easily can, it will be very tough to score on these Panthers. Both of these teams are extremely talented, but ultimately, who will win the Stanley Cup? Will it be the Florida Panthers or the Edmonton Oilers? I like the story of Connor McDavid winning his first Stanley Cup. He has been a tremendous player, one of the most exciting players we have seen probably since Wayne Gretzky with his point production. He has been fantastic throughout his career, and that's a guy you want to see win a Stanley Cup. But then on the flip side, the Florida Panthers have never won a Stanley Cup in their franchise's history. This is an organization that used to sell tickets, beer, and hot dogs for $8 just to get people within the venue. They have come a long way. So for them to win a Stanley Cup, it would show the complete turnaround this organization has made under this new ownership. So who do I think is going to win it and how many games? It's hard because I think Connor McDavid is the greatest player in the NHL right now, and he can take over games. Doesn't have to dominate for a full 60, but he'll have those flashes like in Game 6 where he made that highlight reel goal. So I could see McDavid, Draisaitl really showing out, and then with a complimentary piece like Hyman, it's going to be a tough team to beat. Whereas with Florida, lines 1 through 4, D pairs 1 through 6, and Bobrovsky has shown in the past how he can get hot really quick. They make you work for every single inch of ice. And they got some stars of their own with Matthew Tkachuk, verhaeghe, forsling, and even having their other players step up like Anton Lundell, who has been great during this playoff run. I think the Florida Panthers are going to win this series in 7. Kind of a toss-up for me because I could see this going either way, but I trust Bobrovsky a little bit more in these high-pressure situations, and I think depth-wise, the Florida Panthers are just a little bit deeper, and with how they play defensively and how they shut down these high-power teams in the Eastern Conference during this playoff run, I think it will ultimately help them beat the Edmonton Oilers. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Who do you believe will win this series and how many games? Captain Paul, see you in the next one.